Welcome everyone to a brand new episode of Growth Secrets. Today's guest is Marie Martens. She's the co-founder of Tally, and if you don't know what Tally is, it's a form builder. And I hear you think, why the hell would anyone build another form builder? But once you check out Tally, you immediately see why. It's fun, it's clean, and it's not boring at all. So I really wanted to talk to Marie since they recently reached 2 million in ARR and it was all bootstrapped. So super curious to hear more about their story. Welcome, Marie.
Hey, Aniek.
Hey.
Hi, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, this was one of the episodes I was most excited for because yeah, you don't meet that much of bootstrapped companies, especially in Belgium, I think. So, what should listeners definitely know about you and Tally?
Yeah, there's not that many bootstrappers indeed. Unfortunately, we're trying to change that by building in public and sharing our journey in a very transparent way. What should listeners know? Yeah, my name is Marie. I'm born and raised in Belgium, and I founded Tally together with Philip, who's my co-founder but also partner in life in 2020. We wanted to build something different than all the form builders that were already out there, and that's kind of how we came up with the idea to build a form builder that is actually fun to use and also budget friendly. But we can go into that a bit later. And yeah, we started in 2020. We are bootstrapped. We're a small team of 5 people right now. And we have 500,000 users worldwide,
Great.
and recently reached 2 million ARR indeed. Yeah.
And how did you get the idea to launch like a startup in a super competitive landscape? Because yeah, I think you initially already had the idea to bootstrap, but how did you come up with the idea?
Yeah, we used other form builders before. I have a background in B2B marketing, so I had used like Typeform and Google Forms and, tens of dozens of others that are out there. And Philip had built forms before because he's a full stack engineer. And we kind of always, we had used Google Forms in our first startup project that actually failed because of COVID, but that's maybe for another interview. And we used Google Forms at the time just because it did the job and it was free, but we really didn't like how it looked like. But we were like, okay, it does the job, so we'll use this. And then you had Typeform on the other hand. That looked great, but that was pretty expensive, especially, if you're bootstrapped, just starting out, you just want to use free tools. And with Typeform, we kind of had to start paying the moment we collected 10 responses. So volume-based pricing, and we didn't like that at all, especially because forms are made to be successful in lead generation and collect a lot of leads, and they kind of punish you for that. So we thought, we should be able to do something differently here. And at the same time, we started using Notion, and we really loved, their design, but also the way how the company is backed by a community of users and how we just kind of love spending time in the tool. So we thought, they managed to make note taking kind of fun, when they just started out. What if we can do the same to forms? What if we can build a form builder that people actually love to use? And that's how we came up with the idea.
And did you do some initial validation before actually launching it, or did you just get along with it? Or
It really came from like, a pain point that we had ourselves. Usually it's a pain point or a passion, one of the 3 P's that you're trying to solve. And it was just a problem we experienced ourselves, but we started building an MVP pretty fast. So we had something working after 1 month. And we started sharing it immediately to get feedback. So that was our way of validating, if there was something there that people would actually use. And we did that for around 6 months, just basically started with friends and family, then went a bit broader, and then just started doing cold outreach. And just seeing if people would be interested in just trying it out and seeing what their reaction would be. And we did that with thousands of people. And we got pretty positive feedback from the start. So we thought, okay, there's something here. We didn't have a paid plan yet, so it's just a builder. You could play around with it. And after a few months, there was someone actually reaching out and saying, hey, I would love this and this feature. I'd love to pay for it, like this is great software.
ultimate
And so
validation.
that was the ultimate validation for us. Um, And yet, once we, I think, did that for half a year, we launched on Product Hunt, and then we had kind of like an organic growth kicking in. And that for us was really the moment, we doubled our user base from 1,500 to 3,000 people, but just in a day, and got tons of feedback, tons of positive responses. So that for us was like the validation that we needed to continue building.
Cool. Yeah, I'm gonna touch upon the product hunt launch a bit later in the conversation, but yeah, coming back on, yeah, you mentioned the competitors, Google, Typeform, those are like pretty big established companies. Yeah, what kind of strategies did you guys deploy to differentiate Tele and attract users from these platforms?
Yeah, we differentiate Tally by, well, first, the big one is pricing, right? So we didn't go for volume-based pricing, which is something that most of the players out there do. It also makes sense in a way. So we thought, if we're going to be bootstrapped, we don't have the marketing budgets or the team like the big guys, we need to do something differently. So we basically offered anything that you need to create, build, and share a form for free. And we also offered unlimited responses for free. So that's something that at the time, for almost 5 years ago, not a lot of players were doing. So that really differentiated us, and that really, really helped us to get users on board, just because there were zero barriers to trying it out. There's no trial, there's no credit card, it's just free. You don't even need an account. You can just go in and start building your form. So that's a big one. The second one was the UX. Our builder looks very different than traditional form builders, if you will. There's no drag and dropping. It's just a blank page. People that know Notion or have used any type of text editor-based interface, you can just start typing and insert blocks as you go with shortcuts. And so it's a very clean, simple user experience. And those are the two really, the main things that made Tally stand out. Yeah.
And did you mention that then in the beginning? Because your commitment to offering exceptional value, yeah, it's amazing. I've been a free user for I think already a couple of years now, and whenever I need
Cool.
to validate something, yeah, I always use a form in Tally, and yeah, I get a lot of value out of it for free because a lot of people fill it in, and yeah, I get those responses, and it's super easy to set up. So that's I think yeah. A lot of value for people on a budget, but how has that pricing strategy impacted? I get it. You're yeah. I don't want to use the word cheaper, but yeah, you're free. You're offering all the value for free. How do you approach that in user acquisition? Do you actually mention it? Do you compare it to the other ones, or how does that outreach go, for example?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the fact that it's free makes our product our biggest growth engine. So it's product-led growth. The more people that use it for free, the more value that we give for free, the more free forms that are created. There's powered by Tally branding on the free forms. So if you use a form and share it, your respondents also see it, and that's how they discover Tally. So for us, it makes sense to invest a lot in the free tier, just because that's how we grow. And out of those free users, around 2 to 3% converts to Tally Pro users. Those are usually businesses. And then our Tally Pro pricing is also very, budget friendly and simple, $29 a month, and you basically can remove the branding, can host your forms on custom domains, and so on, which is usually a no-brainer for businesses because they want to customize the form and make it blend in with their branding, right? So we definitely communicate the free, we compare ourselves as well, and we use our free tier to stand out. Yeah, totally.
And how do you balance that, providing all the free value with while ensuring, yeah, the sustainability of your business model? Because in the end, yeah, of course, you need to make money as a
Yeah.
business. How do you balance that?
So I think the biggest cost that comes with it is support. We also support all the free users, but we've invested a lot in customer support since the start. It was just me and Philip doing it, but this is also how we learned. We learned a lot by just talking to users all day long, and solving support tickets and improving them right away into the product. And that's the basic of what we've been doing. By talking to people one-on-one. Like everyone could even join a Slack channel in the beginning. We have Slack group with I think 4,000 people in it, and they could, instead of sending an email, just ask us right away, and we would fix it right away. And that's how we got our most passionate users, and those are the biggest Tally ambassadors today. So support, of course, is a cost there. Is something we needed to invest in. Our first hire was also a customer support agent.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. But for us, the math works out, because it is still, how would I say it, cheaper to offer the product for free than to make it paid and needing to have bigger marketing budgets, for example. Yeah.
Because that's also something, while preparing this episode, I came across a couple of articles and podcasts mentioning community, that you guys focus a lot on community. And you also said something, see if I phrase it correctly, but you said like we wanted to have the community take care of the customer support. How did
Yeah.
that go?
That didn't work out as we planned. The Slack channel in the beginning, that was like the first attempt, because we thought, if we bring all those users together, they'll help out each other. And I think we learned it the hard way. That's not how it worked out for us. It really became like a 24/7 live chat support from us, and obviously we learned a lot, but it's not a scalable. It's not a scalable approach. So I think community is not really about the channel or about support, but it's about people loving to use your product and spreading the word. And it's something self-organizing, and that's pretty hard to control from a brand or a company. How we focus on it right now, and we're actually still in the very early days for this, is how can we connect and identify power users, right? How can we support them? How can we create content together? And how can we make it a win-win for both? And then the community can really become an extension of your team. But I don't think, I think there's better ways to tackle support if you want to do that with a community or with your user base, by having a forum, for example, things like that. Yeah.
Practice what you preach.
Yes.
And do you guys use any AI for that, for example? Because I see a lot of companies, with limited resources, also tapping into these channels, but
Yeah, definitely for engineering, Cursor, CodeRabbit is being used just to help the engineers code faster. Marketing as well, ChatGPT for writing, but also tools like Opus Pro for editing video, doing all of that automatically. So there's definitely lots of use of anything that can help us move faster. Yeah.
and not for all the customer support is still 100% human, or
Yes, it's still 100% human, but we are looking into automating that part as well. Obviously, we still want to make sure that we, capture the essence of what's being asked and that we translate the learnings into the product. So we'll definitely always have humans helping us out with support, but there's definitely a first line of support, that can be automated. Yeah.
cool. It also says a lot that your first full-time hire is customer support, so that paves the way, I think. Maybe something else I wanted to touch upon is like one of the most popular tactics, I think, especially for startups on a budget and bootstrappers. That's discounts. I saw you recently stepped away from them because they obviously led to a lot of customer support demand and more refunds. Can you tell us a little bit more about your beliefs there?
Yeah, I guess by doing this for a couple of years, you get more insights in your ideal customer profile, and usually those people are not on a discount, especially because we have such a large free tier. For us, it just doesn't make sense to discount our paid tier. We have two now, but it's been mainly Tally Pro. It's priced at the cheapest in the market, so financially it doesn't really make sense. We tried it in the beginning just to get more users on board, but we did it through partner programs. So we would have a startup program where VCs or any kind of startup communities could join, and they could give it to their members, and you can see it working with a couple of them, but most of them don't really promote your product in return. And then typically the audience that looks for, and especially in our sector, for lifetime deals or discounts, are not really the most sustainable customers to have. So we did see some higher churn. We saw a lot of support, people churning to get a discount, all of that, and we thought, simplicity is one of our values. Let's just stop doing that and basically step away from discounts. We still have like student and nonprofit programs.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's something we believe in. But yeah, so that's the philosophy behind that. Yeah.
Cool. Cool. You mentioned partnerships. What kind of role did they play so far? Because I saw you guys partnering with companies like Make.com, for example. There are also some quite in-depth blogs on how to get the most out of Tele together with Make.com, etc. I assume those are like super high traffic sources. But what's the overall strategy there when it comes to partnerships?
There's no real strategy behind it. Same with the team of Make. They've just been in our Slack and they've been really early users of Tally. And obviously Tally is pretty popular in the no-code space because the form is usually just the start of your workflow, and then you connect with a Make or a Zapier or with webhooks or whatever, to send your data to your CRM or any other tools that you use. So the combination there is pretty obvious, and also because Make just gained a lot of popularity over the years. We saw a lot of Tally users using Make as well. But this just kind of happened organically. We use Make as a company to automate some of our workflows, and they use Tally. And that's kind of what it happens. So even the blog post, they're not, part of some kind of strategic partnership. It's just content that they have written because it's interesting for their audience as well. So we don't have a clear strategy on that. Obviously, we have integrations, and so sometimes by building an integration with a bigger tool, you also get some visibility. But I think my main experience with partnerships, or especially like co-marketing efforts, is that usually you don't get a lot out of them. It's either it needs to be a really good fit, and that hasn't happened a lot. So we don't really focus on those. No.
Yeah. I think it's what they called earned media then, probably, but yeah, it's nice. I'm also a bit surprised that you didn't actively work on that, because I can assume that quite some traffic comes via that type of blog posts. For example, I was using for AI powered workflows recently, and yeah, it's one of the first things that came to my attention is the tally slash make.com workflow. You find it in a lot of places, so
Yeah.
I would think that it's stage, or that someone actively worked on it, but yeah, quite surprised that's not the case.
It's organic indeed. It's just because
Cool.
it's a workflow that has been used a lot. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, you mentioned and not actively working on it. You're a team of only 4 people, which seems crazy from a distance, to reach 500K users, 2 million ARR. It's super nice. But how do you prioritize what to work on when it comes to growth and marketing? Because I think so far you've been doing it mostly by yourself and probably with the help of some freelancers, but picking the things to work on, how do you do that?
Yeah, good question. We're a team of 5 actually since last week. We
Nice.
have had another engineer that joined.
Cool.
But marketing wise, and I think because it's a product led company,
Yeah.
I have spent the first years I was just doing support and helping out with the product. So there were no, carrying several hats as the like founder and then also someone with a background in marketing. It's been a mix of a lot of things. What we've been doing since the beginning is we care very strongly about, like, there's 3 principles that we have. So it's Tally is free. That's our biggest, marketing strategy, so to say. That's kind of how we get new users. Tally is simple, and that's something that doesn't only translate into the product, but also in marketing and how we communicate. We don't send pushy newsletters. We send we send them once a month if there is value to add, So no promotions, nothing like that. But just, hey, here are the new features. Same on social media. So how we communicate is very simple and transparent as well. And then Tally is us, and that means, we're a small bootstrap team and we build in public. And that's the thing we've been doing from the start, is to share our story and to share what happens behind the scenes at Tally as a bootstrapped company. And this really resonates with other startups, because obviously our target audience are SMEs or other startups, smaller companies. They're usually also interested in how do you build and grow your company. And by doing that, we've kind of grew an audience and grew a bit of a founder-led audience as well, by sharing, all those learnings very publicly. So you could see that as a way of content marketing. It became, bigger right now, but it was just something we started doing out of, fun. Also in the indie hacker space, it's pretty common to do that. So that's one thing we've been doing consistently. Another is working on SEO. We have some quite high-ranking comparison pages, for example, with a type form. With Notion, before they launched forms, if you would look for Notion forms, Tally would pop up. So that's obviously something that we've invested time in. And then, of course, PR and sharing, doing interviews, talking to people, talking on podcasts has been our main strategy. But basically anything that can help to create better word of mouth, talking to users, collaborating with them. We've started doing a bit of influencer marketing since last year, but also in a very, I would say, simple way. If someone is already creating content about Tally, how can we amplify that and how can we work with them the next time? So it's a mix of those things. And how do we prioritize? Saying no to a lot of things. So I usually don't do calls. I don't have meetings. The structure is very lean. We use Notion, we have a board, there's tickets, and it's like, okay, this is what I want to achieve this week, and then try to stick to that. It doesn't always work like that, obviously. In reality, we're doing a lot of things at the same time. But it's trying to figure out, like, what's the one thing I can do this week that will really change or will really make an impact, and skip all the rest. So there's a lot of time management and trying to be very strict with planning. And that kind of helps us. Obviously, we track, we see what works and what doesn't. And we're not really afraid to make mistakes. If something doesn't work, then, we just try something else the next week. Yeah.
Cutting all the clutter and removing all the
Yeah.
noise. I think it's one of the hardest thing to do as a
Yeah.
founder. Great that you can focus, and that the simplify things, that it is one of your your core values. I also saw there that you recently started experimenting with paid marketing. You mentioned influencer marketing. What kind of other experiments are you running there?
So we just started last week, and we started with paid search. So it's very early to say. It's week one, and this is really experimental for us because everything has been organic. It's also very competitive, so it might not make sense for us, but we'll see. We're trying it out. We're working with a freelancer, someone who's helping us out that I've worked with before, who's joining us now 1 day a week, and we'll see. A bit too soon to say. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And for the influencers, etc., that you consider that paid marketing, or how do you?
Yes, I think we wanted to focus mainly on YouTube and get more content out there, and that would be it's a combination. It's a combination of free and paid collaborations that we do. Some people just use our affiliate links and kind of get paid through that way. If we work with bigger creators, those collabs are paid indeed. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, as we already touched upon before, I saw you guys also launched on Product Hunt. I think it was somewhere in the end of 2023. How do you
Yeah.
handle an experiment like that? And yeah, on one side, what are your expectations? On the other side, what are the results? Because these days, or at least today, Product Hunt has quite I think, a negative connotation.
Yeah.
I think the original founder sold it, and yeah, it's not about the getting the startups discovered anymore, as a lot of insiders say. But in 2023, I think it was still okay. What are your thoughts about such an experiment?
I think so. We launched the first time in 2021. And we did that because we found a lot of our early users on Product Hunt. So when we were doing cold outreach, we would scan Product Hunt and we would check for founders, designers, marketers, product managers, and marketeers. And if we could find those on Product Hunt, we would check if they have upvoted similar products like Tally, and then we would, reach out to them. And because that was pretty successful for us,
Yeah.
and because free products tend to do well as well on Product Hunt, or at least back in the
Sorry to
day.
interrupt, but quick question: did you all do that manually, or?
Yes.
Okay, nice. That's what they mean with do the things that don't scale.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes. Manually. I think at one point we might have had a script or where I would just inspect the code and I could just like copy everyone that had upvoted, but then I would still be manually checking for their contact details and sending them and following up. So it's just a spreadsheet with names and yeah,
Nice.
manually, yeah. And so we did that for a few months and then we decided to launch on Product Hunt. Obviously in 2021, it was still a bit of a different platform than it is now. We expected quite a lot from it, just because we knew, what the impact can be from a successful launch on the platform. So we prepared pretty well. We also made sure that we had the features built, like the basic form builder features, so we wouldn't get feedback like, yo, it's great, but I cannot capture an email or something like that. So we had like the basic input fields, but still the product was super simple. We launched it and so we had around 1,500 users before. Those we got, manually through cold outreach. And just by launching, we doubled that in one day. And I think we were like number one for most part of the day. And then in the end, we lost to, I don't know, we ended up on the fourth spot. But just by that visibility, we got a lot of users, we got a lot of feedback. A lot of people started following us and started using the product. And since then, we started growing a lot faster and started growing organically. So for us, it definitely made sense, but it's because our audience was there. We prepared it pretty well. If you already have a few thousands of users, they can also help you on that day to help you upvote. There's all kinds of theories behind this.
Yeah.
The faster you rank higher, the more chances you have to end up as product number one. If you're product number one, then you get featured in the newsletter and so on. And so for us, it was really successful. We still, up till today, get a lot of leads from Product Hunt. We get a lot of reviews on Product Hunt. It ranks well, SEO-wise. So we decided to do it again in 2023. And I think what happened is a lot of companies just launch on Product Hunt for every new feature, which obviously brought the quality down. And a lot of products or courses or just anything, weekend projects would be launched on Product Hunt, and so it kind of lost its vibe, I would say. But when we did it in 2023, we launched Tally 2.0. We had a lot of new features. We had a rebrand, a redesign. So for us, it kind of made sense. And then it like totally exploded. We became product of the day, of the week, of the month. We then won the Golden Kitty, so it was best bootstrapped product from that year. We were together with Notion, and I mean, companies like that.
Good company. Yeah.
We were in very good company. It definitely boosted our growth again. So for us, the channel makes sense, but it doesn't for everyone. I don't know if I would still use it today. I probably would if it's a similar product like Tally, but it kind of depends on your audience and on the type of product that you offer. Yeah.
I did a launch in 2016 with Board of Innovation. We launched a business model kit, which was also super relevant for a lot of startup people that were on the initial product
Yeah.
hunt. So it got a lot of traction, we got a lot of traffic. So it was like a really great channel. And recently for Trend Tracker, also a Ghent-based startup, we also launched on Product Hunt. And yeah, the dynamic was still there, I think, but you
Okay.
saw like that day I got like yeah, I think over 100 LinkedIn messages from people wanting to sell me fake upvotes, etc. So
Yeah.
that tells me a little bit where the game went, and that the
Yeah.
channel that was initially super nice, yeah, became very saturated, I think. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's actually, yeah, I saw a lot of people telling we need to build like a modern version of Product Hunt, etc., back to the core values. But yeah, I don't see it happening quite soon. But it's
It's too bad that the abuse kind of killed
yeah,
it, right? And it's not only the platform's fault, it's just also people that started abusing
yeah,
it
exactly.
themselves and just launching, everything they did on there. And that's a pity actually, because it was a great platform to discover
Yeah,
new
to launch,
products
indeed,
and to
it was
launch.
super
Yeah.
nice. So if I understand correctly, 2021, you said, yeah, we doubled our users on one day. So we could say it was a key milestone back
Yeah.
then. Can you guide me through some other key milestones in reaching your 2 million ARR today? What were like the, let's say, the top two or top three of the things that really spiked your amount of users?
Yeah, I think the two product hunt launches were really them. But yeah, if you look at our growth, it's just been very steady. There's not that many peaks, and it's just because we've kept on doing the same thing over and over for years. So we kept on adding new users. We kept on adding a lot of free value to get new users in. I think what we're seeing now is that we're adding some more pro features. So we actually haven't shipped any pro features for 2 years. And we're doing that right now. And we do see, obviously, an increase in conversion. So probably, I think this year, with having the team, we have an in-house team now focusing more on adding paid value in there. This will probably, these months will probably be a milestone if we look back next year. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you mentioned a lot of the things you've been doing so far are organic. Yeah, what we hear all the time about organic channels like social media platforms, all these kind of things. Yeah, they decline the organic reach of each of those platforms. How do you manage that, or how do you get along with it?
And how do you mean they declined the organic reach?
Yeah, like for example, 4 or 5 years ago, when I did like a LinkedIn post, it would, yeah, easily blow up. Yeah, there were still on one hand a lot less people creating content on the platforms, but
Yeah.
of course they want you to pay for the platforms, and they want you to advertise. If I do like a post today, my best post, they are getting 10K views, which was, yeah, back in the days that was like almost the minimum, if you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
it's the organic
Okay.
reach. It's really, yeah, it's almost gone, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, for us, I think what we're doing there is more, it's more linked to the community part where you kind of want to reach ubiquity and you want people to see Tally everywhere, right? But it's not the main engine of our growth. That's the product. If we, everything else is kind of secondary and just helps to keep that flywheel, keep that flywheel going. We actually went viral with one of our posts just yesterday, got like 6,000 likes, 500,000 impressions. So I think it is still possible,
yeah,
but I think it's also by kind of building your audience, which takes a long time, and by being consistent, and kind of finding your own unique voice in there. And I think now you have a lot of AI written posts that are very generic. And I feel like at least the people I follow have a more authentic voice, share whatever happens in their growth journey. And that's the interesting content to follow. And that's kind of why we keep on focusing on that. That's also why it's something that I would never outsource or let someone else write, because you immediately notice it. So that's kind of how I see it, and how I have seen, the organic reach growing for us. But that's just by, I think, being consistent and by doing it over and over again. But again, this is not the channel that we heavily rely on to grow. Yeah.
I recently had a call with Sahil Bloom. I don't know if you know him, but he launched
Yes.
a book on the five types of wealth. And yeah, I had a short call with him and he summarized it, I think, super beautifully. He said, like, yeah, I don't want you to take me, I don't want you to show me the highlight reel. I want you to show me, or take, at least take me on the journey, which was
Yeah.
like, I think, very well summarized. And that's basically what you're saying, right? I think patience is like one of the, yeah, best kept secrets when it comes to audience building. And yeah, not a lot of people are very patient. I see it with myself.
Yeah, it's
Sometimes,
not a short-term
no,
strategy indeed. And I think what helps for us is because we've been posting these updates since we had 1K MRR, right?
yeah,
Or zero. And we always refer back to that. So you are with us on the journey. But obviously that takes time. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Something we haven't talked a lot about, or at least, yeah, I think it's overall, it's over the entire conversation, but building in public. You already mentioned it a couple of times, but yeah, you guys are super transparent about building Tally. Yeah, that's, I think, a super nice strategy. But have there been any downsides to sharing your journey so openly?
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously copycats, and the form building space was already very competitive, so we're not too worried about that. But we do see people, obviously, because we share the revenue, we share how the team is built and all of that, literally copying, everything we do. So I think there's a higher chance for that. Um, Another thing is because we were a small team, we were just with two people for a very long time, is that when you share your revenue, it's kind of fun when it's low, but when it starts growing, people start making all kinds of weird assumptions like, oh, is that their salary? Is that what they're making?
There's
And
the
so I think,
port.
indeed. So I think at one point that became maybe a bit uncomfortable. But then we realized, like, look, this is what sets us apart as well. We need to keep on doing this. And this is also how we learn the most. It's by following other people. It was mainly on Twitter and like indie hackers in the beginning, where everyone was just sharing everything they were doing, running marketing experiments, sharing the results. That's how you learn, by people that are just a few steps ahead, and that are very transparent. So, I mean, there's downsides for sure. It also takes time, of course, to do it. But I feel like it is a tactic that more people should embrace.
Yeah, I get it. And yeah, can you share any memorable interactions or feedback from users that were influential to your development? Or
Oh, there's so many. I mean, there's a lot happening every day. Yeah, I think for example, you mentioned Sahil, like he reached out one day and he's like, "Oh, cool, I made a teleform," and then you're like, "Wow, this is crazy," So obviously there's some big names and people reaching out, wanting to invest, angel investors, and those are all big compliments, of course. We You might know Nathan Latka. He discovered Tally pretty early on and invited us to speak at his conference in New York. And we thought like, oh, it's just a
amazing.
small thing. Let's just go. And then we were like opening the main stage in this huge conference room. And so it's people like that really just find tools and take you and cheer for you, and he's been supporting us ever since. So some of those experiences were pretty epic if you look back.
I
um,
imagine.
some companies like Notion, for example, used Tally, for their certification programs. And, the moment you see like the Notion email coming in and someone subscribing,
Cool.
them together with a lot of cool companies. So I think, yeah, those. And then there's just a lot of interactions with people that are very heavily using the product and that have really meaningful feedback for us, and that we always take in. And we have a public roadmap, we have a public upvoting system. So if we need to decide what to build next, we can just look at that and we know what to do.
Yeah, that's also something I read somewhere that you mentioned whenever you were building the community or you wanted to get serious about it, you just reached out to Ben Lang from Notion, which is, yeah, I met him like many years ago. I think it's already more than 10 years ago when he was like really focused on, yeah, that was a company called Mapped in Israel. He was, I think, helping building that,
Yeah.
all the, yeah, the density of the startups there. How does that go? You just reach out, or there was already contact? Because I can imagine, yeah, these people get a lot of requests.
Yeah.
What's your approach there?
So we're lucky that he's a Tally user and he loves the product. And I think something I learned throughout the years is that you can just reach out, you can just get a no or no answer. But typically these people are pretty responsive. So if you're lucky that they don't miss your DM, obviously an email address helps. You're like, hey, do you have 10 minutes? You make sure you're prepared. You have some very concrete questions, and then you try to get as
Yeah,
much value out of the call as possible. And that's something I rarely did, and I'm trying to do a lot more now. It's just like, hey, I look up to what you did because of XYZ. Do you have a minute, or can I just ask you something via email? And I would say, probably more than 50% of the times you will actually get the
nice.
reply. Yeah.
Can you give us some names of people that you, yeah, that are like role models, people you are following quite closely, or?
Um, there's a lot of just SaaS people that building in public. I think a more known one is Oliver Meekings from Senja, a testimonial collection tool. He builds very openly, shares everything.
Yeah.
We've met as well last year. We finally met in person, and that's someone I've been following, yeah, forever. Obviously, you have like the OGs, like Peter Levels, type of people that we've been following as well. Um, I've talked to indeed people from the Notion community, people at, for example, head of community at Make. I had a call with last week just to see how they approach things.
Yeah.
I'm having a chat with the community lead of Raycast this afternoon, which was
Cool.
also just a Twitter DM. So, yeah, lots of people.
Nice, nice. Yeah, Peter Levels is indeed the OG, I think. He's
Yeah,
I think he
yeah,
got a lot of media attention like over 10 years ago with 12 startups in 12
yeah,
months.
yeah.
That did quite good for him, I guess.
Yeah, and he's been going on for, yeah, if that's 12 years, for a long time.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's more than 10 years ago, but he's yeah, 12 startups in 1 year it was. Yeah,
Yeah,
12 months, 12 startups in 12 months.
in 12 months, yeah.
But he, yeah, one of these startups was Nomad List, or
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, we all know how that ended. So it's
yeah.
yeah, quite crazy what he's capable of, and yeah, he's really creating that audience and community around. Yeah, you can do more than you think. You don't have to be technical. The entire no code wave, etc. So yeah, I think it's super nice for
Yeah, and definitely for like solopreneurs,
yeah.
people that just don't necessarily want to build a company or a team, but just want to build products that can be managed by one person. And that's how we started as well. That's what we thought Tally would be, but just, things changed along the road.
Yeah, I heard you say somewhere, and we in another podcast, I heard you saying that you just wanted to build a sustainable lifestyle business for your family. Yeah, I thought that was so beautiful. But maybe you can elaborate what does it mean for you? Because yeah, it's very nice that you say that, but yeah,
For us, it just meant like I had quit my job, and in 2020, and we wanted to become digital nomads, travel the world, and build something that can pay the bills. That's what it meant for us. And we weren't necessarily interested in becoming consultants, so we kind of just wanted to build a product and sell the product another time. And We tried that with our first startup. It's called Hotspot, something completely different, but it was in the travel space. And obviously, we chose the worst timing ever to launch that because of COVID.
Yeah.
And then we had to pivot, do something else, and that's how we ended up building Tally. And then things really changed because I think we became maybe more ambitious as well. We also we were with just the two of us for a long time, but we kind of also became slaves of the business because, and this is a good problem to have. We had a lot of users, we had a lot of customers, and it's really hard to then say, let's just stop and keep it at this pace. You know, like then you want to grow it, you want to do better, you want to improve, and you also have to because there's more competition. So for us. It started indeed as sustainable lifestyle business, and then grew into, hey, what can we do with a team of 10? You know, where can we get? This doesn't need to stay small. It's not because we're bootstrapped, you know, that it needs to be small. We can be more ambitious than this, but still grow at our own pace, you know,
Yeah.
and not have investors on board. And so I guess that's kind of the transition that we went through.
Cool. And if my information is correct, you also have two children by now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, how do you balance work and private life? Because, yeah, two children, I have like a 10-month, yeah, almost a newborn. Yeah, do you have any tips for like busy parents to stay productive or at least awake during the,
Yeah,
because it's,
that's what everyone asks, and I don't have great tips. I mean, this is the most difficult part, and I think for any parent with a busy job, it's just really hard. You know, you just
keep
have
going.
less sleep, you have less energy, and if you're running your startup, the only thing you want to do is putting as much hours as possible in it. And I think the thing there is if it's your first kid, you just don't know what you're getting yourself into. And that was the same for us. We were like, we'll manage it, you know, it'll be fine. And obviously it was not. It was really hard. We were lucky with our first child. She was a relatively good sleeper. But how did it go? I mean, I didn't take, you know, pregnancy leave or anything like that. We just kept on working. Um, we had to come to terms with the fact that you cannot be as productive as a parent with a newborn as you know, a young entrepreneur that is just getting started and doesn't have a family. It's just impossible unless you don't see your kids, right? And you kind of, it's pretty simple. Or you outsource work and you grow a team, but then it just becomes busier. Or you need to outsource your children, have a nanny, and have more help at home. And so it's a really difficult choice to make. For us, it just started in the moment we had the budget. It's like, okay, make sure there's a cleaning lady, make sure we can outsource everything like that. And then it kind of evolved. We were just working from home, and it was really like just this blur of work life and kids, not very structured. And now we're at the other opposite. You know, we go to the office every day. We have a shift system because we're both working in the company. And basically, we switch shifts every week. So this week I have the evening shift. This means I can start as early as I want. So in the morning, I just get up at 6, shower, I can go to work, but I need to stop at 5, pick up the kids, put them to bed, and you know, obviously, then you have some time with them as well. And then the next week it changes, and then you know you have morning or evening shifts. This is what works for us, just to get a bit more of structure and to be able to put more hours in. But it, you know, it's also just it. It was a conscious decision. We wanted to have kids. We also want to spend time with them, and it's ongoing struggle. So I don't think it really gets easier. You know, kids get sick, stuff, unexpected stuff happens all the time. So I wouldn't advise it for startup founders, but you know, that's just not how life goes. You cannot
Yeah,
plan these things.
exactly.
Same as you cannot plan your business. You don't know how things will go.
Yeah, what's the saying?
Yeah,
Like small children, small problems, big children, big problems.
indeed. So probably it will get worse.
Yeah, but yeah, like we all have to deal with it.
Indeed.
Because for you also on top of the children, yeah, you're also on the entrepreneurial journey with your partner in life, right? So
Yeah.
any tips on that? Because that's also something, yeah, you don't see every day, or at least I
Yeah.
don't.
It has pluses and minuses. I think the good side of it is that you share everything, so you also don't mind if someone is overconsumed with work. You know, if you're not in the business together, and you come home and your partner is there again talking about the startup, you know, and they're like thinking about it day and night. That's just annoying. That's a problem we don't have because we're both doing this. Obviously, the downside is that you can never switch off. Kids help because you kind of have to, but this is like our third kid. It's something that we're talking about all the time. We try to switch off once in a while, but in all honesty, that it's just difficult. Going to the office helps for us to have a bit of a more physical split between work and home. So that has been a very positive change. We try to work out more, live a bit more healthy, and yeah, make sure that we can manage the stress. I think that's a big one. But tips there, I think what helps for us is that we both have our own skill set and we both respect each other in that. So everyone
Yeah.
has their own responsibilities. And the good thing is that when difficult decisions need to be made, we're usually on the same line because
Nice.
you know each other very well, obviously. So
Yeah.
that helps. But yeah, there's no, I mean, work and life blends
Yeah.
completely. And I'm not sure if there are other ways
Yeah.
to fix that.
Yeah, I
I
can
just think
imagine.
that's how it is. Yeah.
Cool. If you could go back to the early days of Tele, I think it's a different Marie back then, probably, but and no kids, for example.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give to yourself?
Don't have kids. No, no, I would still keep them. But I think it's something we touched upon actually before, is just to ask for advice more and not be in your own bubble. And there's so many people that have solved this particular problem you're having, and you don't think that your problems are like stupid, or like everyone has to go through all of these steps, and just reach out to people and see if they can help you out. So I think that's a big one. And I think we would also hire sooner. We waited pretty long, also because we were not VC backed and had less budget in the beginning. But build the team the moment you can, so you can offload some work from your own shoulders. Yeah.
Maybe my last regular question, and then we move to the quick fire at the end of the episode. But yeah, we already touched upon like it's you're in a pretty competitive market. With all the AI tools, etc. Where do you see the market going, and how do you plan to stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, I mean, I think forums have been around since the beginning of the internet. I don't think they're going to go away. Obviously, the interface that you use to collect data will change. And we see a lot of opportunities there. I'm not sure how it will evolve. You're seeing already a lot of AI form creators, all of that. I think there's a lot of value in summarizing. You collect data, how can you summarize it in an easy way, but also in helping you build the actual forms. So yeah, I mean, things will change for sure. They are already changing, so we're not being naive in that. And I'm pretty excited. I think I'm a techno optimist, so I'm
Nice.
pretty excited to see what will happen. But yeah, not sure. We'll have to see, and we'll need to make sure that we
Cool.
jump on the wagon as fast as possible.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Yeah, as mentioned, we're heading towards the quick fire. Basically, that those are five like super short questions you can answer very short. I
Okay,
didn't add these to the preparation of the episode, so
that's
they're
fine.
new ones. But just answer from the from the heart, as they would say,
Okay.
and then yeah, well, you'll do great. What's your biggest marketing bet for 2025?
Um, I think it's content and building in public, to be honest. I think it's just genuine. honest, sharing your journey. Yeah,
Doubling
that's what I
down
would go
on the
for.
strategy. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you say you have 500,000 of impressions with one post, then yeah, I would definitely double down on
Yes.
that. Cool. What's your favorite marketing book?
It's actually a really old one, but it's Intercom on marketing.
Yeah.
It's the book they wrote themselves about how they got started. A lot of it is about content marketing as well, but yeah, it's one I keep on referring to, and it has tons of good advice for starting small and just being really hands on and trying out things. So yeah, that would be mine.
A book I myself have been recommending quite a lot lately is The Diary of a First-Time CMO of Alice De Courcy of Cognizant.
Okay, that one I
They're
need to
Yeah,
write
they
down.
are VC backed, so but it's super practical. It's
Okay.
super nice, and she's been writing a diary on LinkedIn, and yeah, she screenshots every LinkedIn post and she writes down 1 or 2 pages to elaborate
Ah,
further on all
cool.
the posts. It's super easy to consume, and yeah, it's a really nice book.
I'll check it out. I need one for next week, so.
Yeah. And then, what's your favorite marketing tool? You
Um,
can't say tally.
I cannot say tally. I think my new favorite one is Jitter,
I don't
but
know.
it's a tool to very easily create videos and
Okay.
animations. But it's super noob friendly, so you don't need to know anything about video editing. Jitter.io, I think. Yeah, that's my favorite one.
I'm gonna investigate it. Okay, and then what's your best advice to people that are responsible for marketing and growth in startups?
Um, I think depends on the scale of the company. I think if you join a small company, it's really how can you gather as much product knowledge as you can, and how can you be in product meetings, sales meetings, engineering meetings, and just capture everything that is being said there. And I personally would also, not join a company of, if we're talking SaaS and product of a product that I don't love using, because then it's really hard to put you in the place of the target audience. So that's something that I always, kind of value or find important. And it's just do things that don't scale. Like don't try to start with over optimized workflows or, lead generation processes, but just do the stuff manually and see what works and then double down on that.
Yeah, cool. Then the last one is, yeah, what's your best kept marketing secret?
I don't really have secrets as everything is online.
Yeah, most of
So
it.
I'm not sure. I don't think I have
Yeah.
one.
What's the stuff you're
Yeah,
not telling us? Uh-huh.
there's nothing actually
Okay.
that I'm not telling. So yeah, I think I don't have an answer to that
Okay.
one. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah, thanks so much for taking the time in your
Of
busy
course.
schedule between all the kids and all the meetings in Winter Circus. Or you don't do meetings, but all the marketing
Try not to.
building and
Yeah.
family. Yeah, thanks again. I'll add the link to Tally and to your socials in the episode notes. And yeah, all the best with Tally. I'll keep on following you. I'll keep on building forms, and I'll advise everyone to do so. And yeah, thanks again for taking the time. And yeah, see you online.
Thank you so much for having me.